All right, welcome to another episode of The Rundown. I'm going to be breaking down Thursday Night Football and some of the NFL games going on Sunday and also the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. So I'm going to get started with Thursday Night Football, and it was a crazy game. San Francisco won 26-23, and San Francisco had a lot going against them before the game started. No Brock Purdy, no Ricky Pearsall, no Jawan Jennings. George Kittle had already been out. Of course, Nick Bosa had that ACL injury. And you would think that the Rams would be able to take care of the 49ers. But like I always say, these division games always get a little weird, especially when it's two mastermind coaches going against each other. And before I talk about the game, I just want to give credit to Mac Jones. He's had a whirlwind of a career, just getting drafted by the New England Patriots, having a good rookie year, taking them to the playoffs. And after that, it just went downhill for him. I was never a guy that thought like Mac Jones could be one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I just don't think he has the physical traits for it. But I always thought that he could be a solid starter. But Bill Belichick and the Patriots, they just ruined his development. Having Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator is crazy. Belichick, we all know, can't really draft receivers, and they didn't really surround him with any receiving talent whatsoever. Not really a good running game, and that just stunted his development. And Kevin O'Connell says that it's more that organizations fail QBs than QBs fail organizations. And in Mac Jones's case, the Patriots absolutely failed Mac Jones. So kudos to him for bouncing back, and now he has a good offensive mind and Kyle Shanahan with him, and he still has good weapons around him. Now, getting to the game, you could see from that first drive script that Shanahan was just scheming things up. Kendrick Bourne was just getting the ball. He had a hell of a night, and all of a sudden San Francisco is up 14-0, and you're thinking, wow, are they really going to blow out the Rams in their own home stadium? But even though the Rams went down 14-0, they still had a lot of chances to win that game. And after starting off a little bit slow, the Rams were able to get the ball moving in the second quarter. They eventually get to San Francisco's 24-yard line, and they fumble. I mean, Stafford just tossed it to Corum in the backfield. Corum drops it, and it's fumbled. And at that point, it was 14-0. And I don't know, maybe they would have gotten 3 more points or a touchdown, but that was just points off the board, unfortunately. I mean, San Francisco couldn't really do anything off of that possession. LA rebounds, and it's 17-7 at the half. The Rams get the ball at the start of the third quarter. They have to kick a 53-yard field goal. I mean, nowadays, kickers can hit 53-yarders, but unfortunately, their kicker, he missed it, and that's, again, 3 points off the board. And after that possession, the San Francisco 49ers got the ball back. And I just want to give credit to Mac Jones. At around the third quarter, 6:36 mark, he took a big hit from Byron Young at the Rams' 2-yard line. And he was having like calf issues all game. And he was just lying on the field. And you're just thinking, oh no, is his night over? Are they going to have to bring in the third string quarterback in Adrian Martinez? And it looked like a coach said something to Adrian Martinez like, hey, it's time to get ready. But luckily, Mac Jones was able to get up and he was able to walk out the field with his own power. So thank God. And he was just taking hits throughout the whole entire game. And he still stood in the pocket, stared down the barrel, and was able to make big time throws. So again, Mac Jones is a tough guy. I really like the way that he's been playing, and I hope after this year maybe he can get an opportunity somewhere else to potentially start. But nonetheless, the Niners kicked the field goal in it. They're up 20-7. At some point, the Rams are able to tie it up at 20 apiece, but they missed the extra point, which would have given them the lead at 21-20 with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And that would prove to be costly. So they already have like max 11 points off the board. But anyways, they go down 23-20. The Rams get the ball back. It's late in the fourth. They go down to the 3-yard line. Kyron Williams runs the ball up the middle, and Malik Collins punches the ball out, and it's Niners ball, and that costs them potentially a touchdown, because I think they would have definitely gotten a touchdown, considering they were probably be at the 1-yard line. So Again, just those little details, fumbling the ball, having missed field goals, that's going to come back to bite you. And even despite all of that, the Rams still had a chance to potentially win this game because the 49ers couldn't capitalize on some of their missed opportunities. But the Niners had the ball with a minute left, and I'm thinking, okay, just end it here. And they were just so conservative. I mean, Kyle Shanahan pretty much called like three run plays in a row so that the Rams would take all their timeouts out and then potentially hope that your defense can hold them off. But I don't know why he just wasn't more aggressive. Just try to get like, a first down that would pretty much ice the game, but he just didn't want to do that whatsoever. He went super duper conservative. I don't get it. I think he should have just been more aggressive. I think you should play to win, and in that moment, he definitely didn't play to win. LA gets the ball back with like 40 seconds left, and they kick a field goal, and all of a sudden, they go to overtime. And 49ers, they get the ball first, they kick a field goal, and I'm thinking, oh no, the Rams are going to get a touchdown because Matthew Stafford was just airing the hell out of the ball. It just really didn't look like they were going to stop them in the passing game. And it's 4th and 1 at the San Francisco 11-yard line, and they go for it instead of kicking the field goal because I think they knew that the Niners would come back down and kick a field goal, and that would be game over. So I have no problem with them going for it whatsoever. But Kyron Williams just get locked up, and that's pretty much game over. And the 49ers win. Kudos to their defense for coming up big and such important possessions, and again, kudos to their offense. Kendrick Bourne was amazing. He had 10 receptions for 142 yards. And I talked about how Kyle Shanahan, it seemed that he was going to scheme things up at the beginning of the game, and he really did. I mean, Kendrick Bourne is a cast off, and the fact that he was able to have a Pro Bowl level night is amazing. And to do that without your top two wide receivers and your superstar tight end is crazy. And it really feels that Kyle Shanahan has his swagger back. I mean, I feel like these type of games he would lose last year, and last year something seemed off even when they were healthy and before they had all the injuries. But this year he's winning the games that he's supposed to, and he's also like winning games when things are going against him. I mean, they could very well be 5-0 if McCaffrey didn't fumble that ball in the Jaguars game, and if they didn't drop a couple passes, which Kendrick Bourne did. But he came up clutch this time around. He only had like one drop, but other than that, Kendrick Bourne really, really played his ass off. So kudos to him. For the Rams, certainly kind of a bad loss, especially after you lost against Philadelphia when you had a 19-point lead in the third quarter. Sometimes it happens, Like I said, these divisional games can get weird. Both McVay and Shanahan are great, great coaches. And they were still able to do very, very well in the passing game. I mean, Stafford was 30 of 47 for 389 yards. And even though Puka didn't go off, I mean, he still had a pretty good night. So did Devontae Adams. I mean, they really did feel unstoppable. And I really thought that they would be able to just get a touchdown. But, if they didn't have the fumbles, if they didn't have the missed field goals, they would win this game. But those little things can cost you in the end. And it definitely costed the Rams a win. But I'm just going to chalk this up to another bad loss. I still have faith in the Rams. I mean, their corner spot is still not very good, and they're going to have to find a way to fix that. Hopefully at the trade deadline, or maybe they just don't fix it this year and they fix it next year. But other than that, I still think that they're a really, really good team. And this was a big game for the division. Now the Niners are in front. They're in the catbird seat. And as of now, they have a hold over the division. And the Seahawks are going to have to win this Sunday against Tampa Bay in order to compete with San Francisco for the division. San Francisco has the easiest schedule in the NFL. So the Rams and the Seahawks, I'm counting the Cardinals out because I just don't think the Cardinals can contend with the Hawks, the Niners, and the Rams. The Seahawks and Rams, they can't lose any dumb games. It really seems like the Niners aren't going to lose very, very much. And they're going to get Kittle back. Shanahan said, I believe that he's probably going to be back week 7. They should get their wide receivers back, and they should be in pretty good shape. Brock Purdy, of course, is going to come back, although you could argue that there isn't much of a drop off between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, but I still think Brock Purdy is better. And yeah, so can't afford to lose any more dumb games because I don't think the 49ers are going to lose very much against inferior teams. And they're going to have to capitalize from now on, especially the Rams, because they've blown like 2 games and they can't afford to keep giving up games and expect to have a chance to potentially make the playoffs, especially in a division like the NFC West. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. And now I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders and that whole saga. But first, I want to talk about Dylan Gabriel. He's going to start this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. But the media, of course, they're kind of inadvertently or intentionally kind of rooting for the kid to fail because they want to see Shedeur get a shot since he has, like, all the media attention. He has the name coming out of college, being Deion Sanders' son. And I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel because everyone is talking about Shedeur when he was a higher drafted pick. Um, he was the 6 year guy coming out of college. Uh, he was quarterback number 2 on the depth chart, and Shedeur isn't even number 2 on the depth chart. It's still Joe Flacco, which is crazy. I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I don't know what his thinking is behind that. I don't think you can go back to Joe Flacco after how bad the offense looked. Now, the offense may not look good with Gabriel or Shedeur if the chance comes down to Shedeur, but I mean, you can't go back to 40-year-old Joe Flacco. There's just no point in doing that. He's old. You already know what you got in him. You should try and see what you have with your young quarterbacks and see if you can potentially build around them, or you may have to look for a quarterback in the draft. So that's just dumb by Stefanski, and it's just one of the many other dumb quarterback decisions that the Cleveland Browns have made in the past half decade. But it is what it is. I'm a little bit skeptical of Dylan Gabriel. I hope he proves me wrong. He's 5'11", doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, and as we know in the NFL, height matters. Arm strength matters to a degree. I think your arm can be good enough. It doesn't have to be like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. We'll see if his arm is good enough, but he just doesn't have the physical traits, and I'm wondering if that's going to hold him back or not. He seems like a very, very smart guy, kind of like a Tua. He's very good at anticipating, but I don't know if that's going to help him too much in the NFL. I hope it doesn't. Hopefully I'm proven wrong and he can be a valuable starting quarterback. But going back to Shedeur, everyone is saying that Dylan Gabriel is probably going to fail and Shedeur is probably going to get his shot. But I don't know. I think Dylan Gabriel has a chance to, keep his job. And even if he doesn't, I guess they're going to go back to Joe Flacco. But anyways, this brings me to Shedeur and his pantomiming that happened with reporters. It was in response to Rex Ryan basically calling him out, saying that he needs to sit in front of the meeting room, he needs to study, and that he shouldn't be talking about how he can be a starting quarterback after seeing all the QB play. And I kind of agree with Rex, even though I think at times he can be a little bit harsh and, truth be told, kind of a dick. But I think his criticism is right in the sense that, I mean, I don't think Shedeur should say, I can be a quarterback. I mean, look at half these dudes. I don't think that was smart to say whatsoever. And in response to that, he just wanted to pantomime in front of reporters and them asking him how he feels about Dylan Gabriel being the starter. I guess basically he felt that whatever he says, it's just going to get dissected. And it's true. Whatever he does say does tend to get dissected. I mean, it's just very polarizing for him when there's a group of people who love you and are staunch advocates for you. There's going to be the other side who hates you and is, not maybe hate is a strong word, but is very, very skeptical and wants to prove that the other side is crazy for being such a staunch advocate for you, especially when it's a guy like Shedeur who hasn't really proven himself. But it's not just Shedeur. It happens with many other athletes. It's happening with Caitlin Clark, who's a baller. We, of course, see it in politics and we see it in all types of realms. So this is just par for the course. And being Deion Sanders' son, you're going to get some perks. You're going to get some negative backlash. It is what it is. You just have to take the good with the bad. That's just how it is in life for the most part. And I disagree with him pantomiming. I just don't think it was the smart move at all. I think he should have just said that I support Dylan Gabriel and, I'm going to help him in the best way I can, but I'm still going to go out and compete in training camp and just be the best player that I can be. I think that would have been fine and most people would have been okay with that. But now he's just causing unnecessary distractions to the Cleveland Browns. And this is why many teams didn't want to draft him, because of all the hoopla that comes with him. And when you're a backup quarterback, Nick Wright said this, unfortunately, being a celebrity works against you. NFL teams want their backup quarterback to be never heard from. And with him, that's just not going to happen. Despite him being a third stringer, he still talks to the media. I mean, there's no other third stringer in the NFL who talks with the media on a regular basis. And I really feel that, I don't know if the Browns have the capabilities, but I really feel that their PR and comm team should just deny all interviews with Shedeur. I mean, there's no point in talking to him. He's a third stringer, and I think that they should take that into consideration. But I guess they also want the hoopla that comes with him, evidently. I guess they like the fact that he has the top rated jersey for their team. So, unfortunately, he's just not all the way media trained quite yet. And he's done some good things with the media. I just don't want to act like, every time he opens his mouth, it's a big distraction. He has said, I'm just here to compete and do my job and whatnot. But I guess this time was just a mistake on him, and Deion Sanders encouraging him, saying, "Good one, son." I don't think that Deion Sanders is the guy Shedeur should take advice from. And that's not in a negative way. It's just that Deion Sanders was a top-rated prospect coming out of college. He was obviously a great cornerback. He was a great athlete. He was a two-sport athlete. And Shedeur is not that guy. He was not a top-rated quarterback coming out of college, despite what many media pundits would say. He was not really looked at as a first rounder based on his ability alone. And now him falling to the fifth round, this is why, because of all the hoopla and all the noise that comes with Shedeur, and many teams did not want to deal with it. And I think he has to realize that pantomiming and just causing more distraction is going to be a bad look for you. And who knows if he's ever going to get his shot in Cleveland, but he may get a shot somewhere else, and doing this may not be a good look. And him doing interviews also is not a good look. And some teams might just be, no, I'm out. And I don't know how many head coaches are going to want to have to deal with that. They already have a lot on their plate. Every win, loss is scrutinized for them. And the last person they want to deal with is the backup quarterback. The starting quarterback, okay, if he's good. The star wide receiver or defensive back, okay, if he's helping you win games, then yeah, sure. The head coach might be willing to eat that loss and just have that distraction or have a diva on their team. But the third string quarterback, no, it's not going to work. So Shedeur just has to be better in that regard. And lots of people are saying, oh, it's just Shedeur being Shedeur. Well, sometimes just being yourself, if you're going to cause a lot of hoopla and noise, is not the way to go. I mean, he has to know where he is. If you look at other athletes, I mean, Allen Iverson was partying every night out in the middle of the night and wore all types of, clothes that attracted a lot of attention. And he was averaging 30 points, so a lot of teams were willing to put up with it. But if he wasn't averaging 30 points, I bet he would have been out of the league a lot sooner. And that goes with maybe even Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, causing a lot of attention, that's fine when you're shutting down the other team's best wide receiver. But if he wasn't that guy, a lot of teams would have just been like, no, I'm good. And we saw this with Tim Tebow also, that, Tebow caused a lot of attention and hype. He really wasn't a starting quarterback, and because of that, a lot of teams just weren't willing to give him a chance based on all the hoopla that came with him. So Shedeur has to be very, very careful and hope that this doesn't jeopardize his NFL career. And hopefully he has smart people around him that's telling him that he shouldn't be doing all this. But I'm afraid that that's probably not happening. There's probably people just encouraging this type of behavior. I mean, he was probably the man in middle school, probably the man in high school, definitely the man in college, was coached by his father for the most part of his life. And this type of behavior, it was okay. But at this point in the NFL, when you're not a top rated guy like you were in college and high school, it's not going to fly, and you're going to have to humble yourself until you do get a starting opportunity. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was definitely immature when he was in Cleveland, and it definitely cost him when he was at Cleveland. Now, you could say that getting out of Cleveland worked out for him because Cleveland is a trash organization, but still, nonetheless, him being immature and causing a lot of attention didn't really help his NFL career, and I think that it definitely affected his play. But now that he's like bounced around a few times and now he's found a home in Tampa Bay and is playing very, very well, he can be a little bit like, Baker with that chip on his shoulder. I mean, him calling out Steve Wilkes, lots of people were okay with it because he's been balling ever since he's left Carolina. If he wasn't balling, people would have been like, shut up. So when you're a quarterback, you just get held to a higher standard. You can't really do what a wide receiver does or what a DB does. You just have to be the company man, um, and just be a good soldier. And I don't know if that's ever going to get through to Shedeur. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I mean, we're just going to have to see. But going back to Dylan Gabriel, I don't know. This is a good opportunity for him. I hope he makes the most of it. Hopefully, he can win this game against Minnesota. Carson Wentz was pretty terrible last week against the Pittsburgh defense, and Pittsburgh's defense, I mean, so far hasn't been all that great. So I don't know. Maybe the Browns defense, which is pretty good, can do something with him. And I know things in the NFL change from week to week, but hopefully they can recreate some of that old magic. Make him look a little bad, and maybe Cleveland can grind out a tough win, low scoring game. We'll have to see. So, yeah, that's all I have on that saga. Now I want to talk about some of the games that are going to be going on this Sunday. I want to talk about Denver and Philadelphia. And going to Philadelphia, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but what's going to happen with the pass game? Will they ever get that going? And forget A.J. Brown. Can they get Devontae Smith going? Can they get Dallas Goedert going? Can they get some of their other guys going that can just open the field up? Even though they haven't been running the ball really, really well, they've still been able to just win these games. But eventually, the chickens are going to have to come home and roost, and they're going to have to get the passing game going. They just can't go on all year, just like, not really being explosive in the run game and just having to overly rely on your defense to help keep you in these games. And Jalen Hurts barely throwing for over 100 yards. It's just not going to work. He's going to eventually have to air that thing out. And against the Rams, he did in the second half, but going forward, he's also going to have to do that. And we'll see if Denver is the team that can potentially make him do it. I mean, Denver's defense has a lot of talent. They've definitely struggled a little bit. They balled out against Cincinnati, and I know that was against Jake Browning, but they did a really, really good job covering Jamar Chase. I mean, they tried getting the ball to him, but he was covered really, really, really well. And I'm sure Joe Burrow could have made him more productive in that game, but I still think they did a pretty good job of covering Jamar Chase, and we'll see what they do with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goddard. They do have a pretty good secondary with Pat Surtain. And going for Denver and their offense, Bo Nix finally had his coming out party against the Cincinnati Bengals. He played really, really well, and it's interesting to see how he's going to do against Philly in that defense. After struggling against the Chargers and Indy a little bit. The Eagles, they're at home. They're the favorites, but I'm going to go with Denver. Philly really struggled in the second half against Tampa Bay. Their offense was only able to generate 7 points. Their defense really, really kind of struggled in the second half. They gave up, I think, 17 points in the second half to Baker, and like he was airing that thing out. And I think Bo Nix, he's going to be better after playing pretty well against Cincinnati. And I think, after struggling against Indy and the Chargers a little bit, he'll be able to just get going and play really, really well. And I got Denver winning 20-17. Uh, we'll see if they can get the passing game going. If not, it's going to be just more hell for Philly, and it's going to be more AJ Brown unhappiness. So we shall see what goes on with that. And now I want to talk about Seattle and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. That's the game I'm really, really looking forward to. Seattle is rolling. They beat Arizona 23-20, and even though it was a close game at the end and we kind of almost blew it, we really dominated them for the most part. And I thought that we played really, really well against Arizona, and we did what we were supposed to do. Other than just a couple of drives, uh, we did our job. So Tampa Bay, that's going to be the test for us. This is the first playoff team that we're going to play after San Francisco in week one. Julian Love and Devin Witherspoon have injury issues. Probably are not going to play. And if that's the case, Baker is going to take advantage. I mean, he's been playing really, really well. He's been airing the ball out. But Tampa Bay has some major injury concerns. They have like 19 players on the injury report, 5 on the defensive side. I mean, offensively, they should be fine, but defensively, it is going to be concerning if guys like Jamel Dean, Hassan Reddick, and Logan Hall aren't going to play. But they still have Igbuka. This is going to be Godwin's second game, so they should be able to get the rust off. So offensively, not that worried about Tampa Bay. Now, getting to Seattle's offense, they've been explosive. Love how Sam's just getting the ball out, getting the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba specifically. We haven't been running the ball really all that well, and despite all that, we've still been able to have a pretty good offense. But against that defense, even if they are a little bit banged up, we are going to have to take care of the ball. They're going to get after Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold just can't see ghosts like he has in the past, because if he does, it's going to be a long, long night for Darnold. And there have been times where, if he does get pressured, he tends to turn the ball over in bunches, and it just is a snowball effect of just a bad game for him. And he's gotten better dealing with pressure this time in Seattle, and hopefully he's able to keep that up against a good defense. Hopefully we can run the ball somewhat, because I'm sure they're going to call a lot of runs, but I just don't think we're going to have a good running game this time around. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think we've really been able to break like 100 yards all that much. And if that's the case, Darnold is really going to have to throw the ball. It's been Jackson Smith and Jigba who's been taking like a lot of the targets. I hope that Cooper Kupp can finally get involved. After that game against Pittsburgh and that defense, he really hasn't gotten that much going, and hopefully against Tampa Bay we can get him going. And I think we're going to probably have to get him going and Horn going in order to have a chance to win. And the one thing about Tampa Bay's offense that I forgot to mention is Bucky Irving. That's probably going to be a big loss. It doesn't look like he's going to play. He's had 71 carries through 4 games and 237 yards. So that averages to about 17 carries a game. And even though I've talked about how Baker Mayfield can air the ball out, I still think that he's a guy who needs a good running game. And if he's a guy that has to throw the ball a bunch, I think that he's bound to throw 1 or 2 interceptions. And I don't know if their backups like Rashad White and Josh Williams can carry that load off of him. He's a very good thrower, but he can be prone to interceptions, especially last year. And against Seattle's defense, which is number 1 in DVOA, and I know Julian Love and Devin Witherspoon aren't going to play, I still think it'll be a tough matchup for him. I'm going to go Seattle's going to win this game 27-20. Now I want to talk about the Commanders and Chargers game. Good news for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is back after a couple weeks out with the knee sprain. The bad news is that Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown are out, and that's terrible for them. They're already so thin at wide receiver, and it really looks like Debo Samuel and Zach Ertz are going to have to really take on a bigger role and be those go-to guys for Jaden Daniels. We'll see if someone like Luke McCaffrey can step up and provide some assistance to Jaden Daniels, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, honestly. The Chargers, they're going to have a much easier time just being able to focus on one or two guys. If that pass rush can get to Jaden Daniels, especially with him coming off that knee sprain, it can definitely spell trouble. And with the Chargers losing against the Giants, I think that this will be a bounce back game for them. I'm still a believer in that team. I said that the Giants was probably just a bad loss and they'll come back, and I do believe that they'll play much much better against the Washington Commanders. And Washington's defense has struggled really really hard. They struggled hard against Atlanta. They've just been up and down this entire year, and they were also up and down last year, the defense, but they made the NFC Championship game. But this time around against the Chargers, I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm sure they'll be a little bit better against the Chargers than they were against Atlanta, but I don't know if that's going to help them win. I got the Chargers winning 24-14. That's going to put Washington at 2-3, and if they do go 2-3, that's going to really really spell trouble for their season. Their next four is against Chicago, Kansas City, Dallas, and Seattle. Kansas City and Seattle, those aren't going to be easy games whatsoever. Chicago, while still a young team, you certainly can't write them off. And I think Caleb Williams is going to get, better and better. Dallas has a horrible defense, so I mean, they should be fine, but still, Dallas offensively is still really, really good. So you definitely can't count out Dallas. And if you have to go back and forth with Dallas, that's not going to be a good sign. And Dak is playing really, really well. Philly is absolutely going to win this division. I think their 4-0 record is a bit fraudulent, but I still think that overall they're still probably a good team. They should be able to get the passing game going eventually, kind of like what they were able to do last year, and they'll still win 11, 12, 13 games. So they got that unlocked, and it's really, really questionable if Washington is going to be a wild card team, because it just does not seem to be in the cards for them this year, especially like losing their wide receivers, and even if it's just for 1 or 2 weeks, that's still costly. And the wild card is going to be tough because the NFC West is really really good. The NFC North, Detroit is a really really good team. Even though Green Bay has had a bad couple of weeks, they're still really really good. Um, yeah, it's just weird. Their defense is really, really going to have to come up Washington's in order for them to stand a chance. And if they do, they can potentially uh, be a fifth or sixth seed maybe. But if they don't, it's going to be over for Washington. I'm still clinging on hope. I still think that Washington can make the playoffs, but it's going to be tough from here on out. Now, the last game I want to talk about is between New England and Buffalo. And honestly, the only thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is Drake Maye. Even though on paper, Buffalo is much better than New England, I still think New England has a shot to win this game because, like I've said a million times, divisional games can be weird. And this team under Mike Vrabel, they play hard. Even in their 2 losses, they've still been in the games. And Buffalo is definitely a whole different other beast than the other teams New England has played, but I still think that New England can give them a run for their money for sure. And Drake Maye in his past 4 games, he's passed for over 200 yards. And it's not just the passing, he's been really, really essential in the ground game also. He's had 98 yards so far. And if you compare that with some of the other running backs on the team, Travion Henderson has 97 yards. Ramondre Stevenson has 125 yards. So he's essential to the running game also. And when a quarterback can run, it really, really just adds a whole other dimension to the offense because it's just one more thing that the defense has to worry about. And we've seen it with Lamar Jackson and even with Jalen Hurts, even though Philadelphia isn't really passing the ball all that well, it's the running that's really, really killed the other teams. I mean, Jalen Hurts, I've just seen in these games where he's just ran for critical third downs, and that helps the team win games. So if Drake Maye can run well, and as long as Buffalo's defense doesn't bottle him up, I think that the Patriots offense definitely has a chance of making this game very, very, very interesting. And I'm also, for this game, really looking forward to the experience New England is going to have playing against Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be a problem in that division as long as Josh Allen is the starting quarterback. And they may not win this game. I don't predict that they will win this game. I think that they'll give them a run for their money, but I think if they keep getting that experience playing against a team like Buffalo, it'll help them down the line when they will have better talent and they may have a chance to go head to head with Buffalo to potentially win the division. Now, Buffalo in these past 4 games, they've scored over 30 points a game. I don't think that's going to happen this time around because New England does have a decent off defense, and it is a divisional game. I think Buffalo's offense is going to be somewhere in the 20s. I think Buffalo is going to probably win 23-14. I think that's going to be the final score. But like I said before, New England definitely has a shot of winning this game, and weird things have happened in the NFL. And yeah, that's about all I have for you guys. I'll be back this Monday to break down the games on Sunday and some of the storylines. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.